Two of the hottest phones that you can buy for around 30,000 rupees in India are the iQOO 7 and the Mi 11X. But in between the two, which one should you buy? Let's find out. Hello everyone, Aman here for Mr. Phone and welcome to this massive full comparison between the iQOO 7 and the Mi 11X. So guys, this video is going to be a long one because I have put in a lot of effort into this one, and I've also tried to make sure that I don't miss out on even the tiniest bit of detail about these smartphones. So if you love our content and appreciate our work, then consider hitting that red subscribe button. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Also press that bell icon and turn on all notifications so that you don't miss any of our latest videos. With that being said, let's get started. In terms of what you get inside the box, the Xiaomi scores an early point since you get a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter with the Mi 11X, something that you don't get with the iQOO 7, but otherwise similar stuff you get with both smartphones. So starting with design and build, both the iQOO 7 and Mi 11X share a lot of similarities: flat displays, curved backs, plastic frames, and so on. Now both phones weigh about 196 grams, but the Mi 11X is about 1mm slimmer than the iQOO 7. Now on the front, the bezels and the chin are almost identical, although I have to hand it over to Xiaomi for the smaller punch hole. Moving to the rear, we see a traditional yet neat camera design on the iQOO 7 with the company's branding beneath, matte texture of course, and those who have seen my iQOO 7 review know how much I love this solid ice blue shade. Although one thing I'm not so sure about is the protection here. I just know that this is some AG matte glass, so there's that. On to the Mi 11X, polarizing camera design for sure. You either love it or hate it. Xiaomi branding along the bottom, Gorilla Glass 5 protection is good, although I don't like the glossy finish at all. Now there is a celestial silver color that I have with me which sports a gorgeous matte finish, and this phone by the way is the Mi 11X Pro, but you also get the same finish on the Mi 11X. So choosing one phone when it comes to design, well, it's a tough one guys, but by a slight margin I will give the point to Xiaomi here because I do like this camera module design. On to the display, the iQOO 7 sports a 6.62-inch AMOLED panel versus a slightly taller 6.67-inch Super AMOLED panel on the Mi 11X. Both feature 120Hz refresh rate, come with peak brightness of up to 1300 nits and support HDR10+. However, when I did check the playback specification on Netflix, HDR10 content is supported on the Mi 11X, whereas it is not supported on the iQOO 7. The Mi 11X also supports MEMC for videos, while the iQOO 7 supports MEMC for gaming. For those who don't know about MEMC, its full form is Motion Estimation Motion Compensation. Basically, it's a fancy term for the frame interpolation technique, or say in simple terms, MEMC allows you to add additional frames in between native frames so that the content looks smoother. In terms of brightness levels, both get plenty bright, no complaints. Viewing angles are also top-notch on both smartphones, and for those interested in the green tint issue, well, I did not come across any on both of my review units. Now in terms of output, that is while watching stuff or simply gawking at the screen, I felt the display on the Mi 11X looks more vibrant. What do you say guys? Looking at this video, what do you all feel? And mind you, the color profile is set to default on both. Speaking of which, the Mi 11X also gives you more options for the display color profile. See, both smartphones have A1 quality displays with good color reproduction, and they get plenty bright as well. But when it comes to content consumption, I think the slight edge goes to the display of the Mi 11X. That said, the display of the iQOO 7 is almost as good as this one. It's just that both of these phones are so evenly matched that making a choice between the two was a very difficult one. But guys, now that you have seen the display section, which phone's panel do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. Time for the hardware, and both smartphones here come with the Snapdragon 870 processor under the hood, coupled with up to 8GB RAM on the Mi 11X and up to 12GB RAM on the iQOO 7. I have the 8GB RAM versions of both phones here, and on the storage front, both have 128GB of non-expandable storage, which I think should be enough for most people. Still, a microSD card slot wouldn't have hurt. Anyway, let's run some benchmarks now and see which phone does better. Let's start with AndroBench. With a read speed that is about 400 MB per second faster and a write speed that is about 100 MB per second faster than that of the Mi 11X, the iQOO 7 takes the lead here. Let's run AnTuTu now. Even in AnTuTu, the iQOO 7 has scored about 52,000 points higher than the Mi 11X, and even if you look at the individual scores in all the 4 categories, the iQOO 7 scored more. Now let's run 3D Mark Wildlife Stress Test, a simulation benchmark to know how a phone might perform over long stretches of gameplay. It is not even funny, the iQOO 7 scored a 99.2% stability versus a 90.5% on the Mi 11X, and looking at all the loop scores, or the best loop score, or even the lowest loop score, it just shows how consistently the iQOO 7 performed in comparison to the Mi 11X. Finally, it is time for the CPU throttling test. And for the 4th test in a row, the iQOO 7 just dominates. Even in the CPU throttling test, the Snapdragon 870 inside the Mi 11X throttled to 75% of its max performance, which is pretty much in line with other phones having the Snapdragon 865 or the Snapdragon 870 or even the Snapdragon 888. But the iQOO 7 and the Snapdragon 870 performed exceptionally well. 95% is the final result, and hats off to the optimization. So those were the benchmarks, but what about the real world performance? How are these phones in day-to-day usage? How are they at handling heavy games? Keep watching. Well, both phones are capable of handling anything that you throw at them, even while playing heavy games such as Asphalt 9 or Call of Duty Mobile. I did not have any major issues regarding frame drops or stutters, although thermal management is definitely superior on the iQOO 7 in comparison to the Mi 11X, which means when you play games for longer durations, the surface of the iQOO gets barely warm. And while the Mi 11X also doesn't run blazing hot, it does get significantly warm at the rear and at the front. Also, the gaming experience is enhanced on the iQOO 7 because of MEMC tech. Yes, like the Mi 11X supports MEMC for video playback, the iQOO 7 supports it for gaming, and while it doesn't work for all games, the general gaming performance is kind of better on the iQOO 7 thanks to additional gaming features and an amazing vibration motor, which simply takes your gaming experience on to the next level. Speaking of the vibration motor, the haptics on both phones are precise, very good haptic performance on both smartphones undoubtedly. And as for the audio output, both phones come with stereo speakers, with the Mi 11X featuring Dolby Atmos support while iQOO 7 features high-res audio support. Here's a quick sample for you to judge. Let me know which one do you think sounds better. Genius. क्योंकि मैं एक फुकरा बाकी सारी दुनिया जीनियस In terms of software, both phones come with their own custom skins on top of Android 11. The iQOO 7 features FunTouch OS 11.1, while the Mi 11X features MIUI 12. And both are fully loaded feature-rich skins. To be honest, MIUI 12 actually packs in more features than FunTouch OS. Now scrolling through menus or switching between apps feels smoother on FunTouch OS, and MIUI 12 is also very smooth guys, but I did see slight stutters here and there while scrolling in the multitasking screen or while scrolling through a web page and things like that. Also, Netflix for some strange reason felt choppy on MIUI 12 as the display restricted itself to 60 Hz. Now this could be a problem on the side of Netflix, but either way I just wanted to put it out there. In terms of bloatware, both phones give you an option while setting up to skip downloading suggested apps, but even after that, MIUI 12 has some preloaded stuff such as Mi Pay, Mi Credit, Mi Store, which I understand could be the community apps, but what if we don't need those apps? Similarly, FunTouch OS also has those V App Store and a similar sort of preloaded apps, and the most annoying is Hot Apps and Hot Games, both of which you can't even remove or uninstall. Like, why? Thankfully, I haven't seen any sort of ads on both these smartphones, which is great, and I hope it stays this way. RAM management is better with FunTouch OS. Definitely the 8GB RAM plus 3GB virtual RAM helps here. Now MIUI 12 coupled with 8GB RAM is also fine, but in terms of holding apps in the background or multitasking, the iQOO 7 does a better job. Now overall, when it comes to the software, I think I will side with FunTouch OS on the iQOO 7. Now don't get me wrong, as I said, MIUI 12 is definitely the more feature-rich skin among the two, but for me, FunTouch OS is simply easy to use, feels lighter in comparison, and gets the job done. As for the battery life, there's a 4400 mAh unit inside the iQOO 7 versus a 4520 mAh unit inside the Mi 11X. So both phones can last for about a day on a single charge if you're a medium user, but if you're a heavy user, keep in mind that you will have to charge both the phones twice a day. Also, none of them is a champ when it comes to standby times. I mean, I was seeing an overnight drain of about 8 to 10% on both the smartphones. And coming back to charging the smartphones, well, this is where the real difference is. While the iQOO 7 with its 66-watt charger takes about 30 minutes to go from 0 to 100, the Mi 11 takes about 50 minutes to fully charge using its 33-watt charger. Moving on to the connectivity, and both these smartphones come with 5G support. That is, the Mi 11X supports 2 5G bands, whereas the iQOO 7 only supports 1. Does it matter at this point? Not to me. Now as for carrier aggregation, some say it is there on the iQOO 7, some say it is not. Well, according to my testing on the Jio 4G network, I did not find carrier aggregation support on the iQOO 7 in my area, while the Mi 11X does support it, as you can see on your screens. And here's a quick 4G speed test to show what difference carrier aggregation makes. Without a doubt, the Mi 11X dominates. And while we are at it, let's do a Wi-Fi speed test as well. Do note both phones support Wi-Fi 6, although keep in mind that I don't have a Wi-Fi 6 router. Anyway, here's the result, and with a 4 millisecond ping and 180 MB per second download speeds, the Mi 11X definitely performed better. Now, despite the iQOO 7 not having support for carrier aggregation, 4G has been working absolutely fine for me at home on this smartphone. That said, when life does get back to normal and we're out on the streets, inside the malls, inside the metro, inside the offices, I think so, carrier aggregation is definitely going to be a plus point for the Mi 11X. Finally, let's move on to the cameras. Both phones come with a triple lens setup at the back. On the iQOO 7, you get a 48 megapixel main camera coupled with a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera and a 2 megapixel depth camera. At the front, there's a 16 megapixel snapper for selfies. On the other hand, the Mi 11X also comes with a 48 megapixel main camera. This is coupled with an 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens and a 5 megapixel tele-macro lens. For selfies, there's a 20 megapixel front-facing camera. In this daylight image taken from the primary camera, both phones exhibit good color reproduction and they've done a very good job. Although both have their strengths and weaknesses. As you can see, the dark parts, as in the shadows, are handled better, or say look better exposed in the image of the iQOO 7, while details look slightly better in the Mi 11X's photo after zooming in. But overall, as I said, both phones did a very good job. Now the same scene captured from the ultra wide angle camera of both smartphones, and this time around colors and dynamic range look amazing in both outputs, although the iQOO 7 once again does better when it comes to exposing the darker areas. Also, the details upon zooming in turned out better in the iQOO's image. Also showing what you can expect in terms of color disparity between the primary and ultra wide lenses of both the smartphones. Now when it comes to full resolution 48 megapixel shots from both smartphones, at first glance these photos look indistinguishable. However, when you zoom in, you realize that the Xiaomi did far better in terms of details, and this time around it even did better when it came to exposing the darker area. And one thing I don't know if you guys can make out on your screens, but the colors look slightly warmer in the Xiaomi's photo, and if you ask me, the output looks more natural when compared to the iQOO 7. In terms of macro photos, well, the Xiaomi does have a dedicated tele-macro lens, but I still prefer the output from the iQOO 7. Okay, now it's time for the portrait mode shot taken from the rear camera, and I think edge separation is done better on the Xiaomi. As a matter of fact, details and skin tone are also handled better on the Xiaomi. The iQOO's image is also a tad bit bright in my opinion. Also, the text on my shirt, if you see that, definitely it is more detailed in Xiaomi's output. Now in terms of selfies, I can easily give the point to Xiaomi here. I mean, there's no point of debate also. Be it the details, the skin tone, or the wider field of view, the output from the Mi 11X looks better. Also, the dynamic range is better on Xiaomi's camera. Simply look at the tube light behind me. And I also noticed the iQOO's image to have this slight magenta tint. I don't know if you guys can make out, but yeah, there's that. In terms of photos taken in extreme low light, while both cameras are nothing to write home about, but between the two, the Mi 11X does seem to do much better. I mean, just see this second photo. Don't you think the Mi 11X did a decent job with the details, colors and white balance? And mind you, it was very dark on the terrace when I took this photo. Okay, taking a look at this 4K 30 FPS video sample now, and would you believe the Mi 11X has electronic image stabilization versus optical image stabilization on the iQOO 7. See the colors and how the video looks, that's something of a personal taste, but most importantly guys, if you have made it this far in the video, tell me please that do you also feel that the pans and movements are looking better on the Xiaomi despite the phone not having OIS? Share your thoughts below. However, in the 1080p 60 fps video sample, the iQOO 7 clearly dominates. OIS kicks in and it is pretty evident. I don't even need to say anything here. Finally, time for the selfie video sample and then the verdict. Hello everyone, this is the daylight video sample being shot on the iQOO 7 and the Mi 11X. So not a very sunny day here in New Delhi. Actually, it's about to rain and it's very cloudy as well, but still you can get an idea as to how the front facing video quality looks like from both the smartphones. The Mi 11X can shoot up to 1080p 60 fps, but since the iQOO 7 is restricted to just 1080p 30 fps, I thought let's just record the 1080p 30 fps from both the smartphones. But yeah, this is how the output looks like, and I'm walking right now so you can make out how's the stabilization. Also, let me know what do you think about the audio audio output from both the smartphones. How does my audio sound? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's about it. This is the front facing video sample on both the smartphones, the Mi 11X and the iQOO 7. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So it is time for the verdict guys, and to be honest, choosing between these two smartphones was very difficult. As I said earlier in the video, both of these phones are so evenly matched that you can't go wrong with either of them. Subjectively speaking, I would personally go for the iQOO 7. My reasons being, I like the simplistic approach of FunTouch OS. I prefer the faster 66 watt charging. The gaming experience is so good on the iQOO 7, and because there's also a 12 GB RAM version of the iQOO 7, I would anyway go for that variant. Budget is no problem. That said, one can't deny the clear advantages of the Mi 11X. That is, it has carrier aggregation support. You clearly saw the dominating performance of the Xiaomi in the 4G speed test. Then MIUI 12 is more feature rich, can't deny that as well. Also, I think the audio output and the display quality are slightly better on the Mi 11X. And finally, despite featuring EIS, I found the camera performance to be slightly more consistent on the Mi 11X. And yeah, there's also a 6GB RAM plus 128GB storage option of the Mi 11X that retails for about 30,000 rupees. Just in case if you're running low on budget, you can go for this one as well. And that was the comparison between the Mi 11X and the iQOO 7. So guys, now that you have watched the video, which phone would you prefer to buy? Let me know in the comments and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and for all the latest in tech, stay tuned to Mr. Phone. See you guys in the next one. Take care and stay safe.